LaMelo Ball had a pretty splashy entrance into the league by winning Rookie of the Year, then being selected as an All-Star in the following season. But over the past 2 years, LaMelo has missed a total of 106 games. And throughout his 4-year career, the Charlotte Hornets have seen 0 postseason action. And outside of not being consistently healthy, many people have questioned whether or not LaMelo has the game or maturity to turn the Hornets into a legit playoff team. Now, I want to start things off by looking at Melo's current strengths. And the first place where we have to start is his passing. While Ball may have a pretty wild and chaotic style of play, I do think he's got a really good feel of the game, while naturally being a really creative facilitator. Physically, Melo is a tall and lengthy point guard, and that size naturally opens up passing windows, where he can simply see over the defense and deliver these easy dimes over the top. You'll see him here working off this screen in the middle of the floor, and as two jump towards the ball, Melo can simply pick up and deliver this dime over the double. And then on top of these long and rangy deliveries, Ball can also snap these tight pocket passes, which gives him options when he's going up against more lengthy defenders. With the ball and pick and roll, Melo can also effectively read the entire floor, which allows him to punish the weak side defense for overcommitting and help. So specifically in ball screens, Melo checks all the boxes as a passer. Again, he's got the size to see over the defense, the feel to needle these tight pocket passes through gaps, plus the vision to read defenders 2 or 3 passes away. But this is where we really get into the specific things that makes LaMelo special. And the first thing we can look at is his pace. When turning the corner off these screens, Ball is great at slowing down and pulling the defense towards him, which both puts more pressure on all 5 defenders, while also giving LaMelo more time to read the floor. We'll see him here work off the screen, then slow down and stop his downhill momentum, and this pulls the drop kick towards him. And because Melo has the ability to whip these skip passes, these off-ball defenders are hesitant to sink down, which frees up the paint for this lob. And while operating around this in-between area, Melo can also use his eyes and the ball to manipulate the defense, which again puts non-stop pressure on the defenders and help. Watch him here turn the corner and use his eyes to sell the skip pass, which again frees up the paint for this lob. Another underrated element in Ball's passing game is his ability to snap these one-hand dimes. Whenever Melo is playing off the dribble, he can instantly transition into a pass, which gives him this hairpin trigger off the dribble. We'll see him here rip to his right, and as this big slides over, Melo is going to pick up and shovel this one-hand dime. And Melo can also hit these passes with his left hand, which again makes him a constant passing and scoring threat off the dribble. So when looking at LaMelo's passing by itself, I think he's already a top tier playmaker across the league. He may not be at the level of Nikola Jokic or Luka, but I still think Ball has the feel and skill to be an elite playmaker, while also having the potential to be something special in the years to come. Now when transitioning over and looking at LaMelo's scoring, this is where I have some mixed feelings. Now to start off with the positives, I think Melo has taken some big steps forward as a deep paint scorer. Back in his rookie year, Ball lacked the strength and stability to consistently score around the basket, where he didn't have the physicality to attack through the defense's frame, which led to these difficult contested and extended out layups. And if Ball tried to pick up and initiate contact, he was never able to keep his base. But when comparing those clips to these from last year, Ball is clearly a more physical and stable driver, where he now has the ability to pick up and step through contact.
Made a couple of threes to start the 4th quarter, and now it drives.
We'll see him here attacking on the break, and instead of settling for a difficult off-balance runner, Ball is going to pick up and throw his inside shoulder into this defender's chest, to then step into that contact, and create this finishing window out to his right. And that improved control in the paint also allows him to mix up his finishes in the lane, where he can now use some different strides to mix up his rhythm to score in traffic. Watch him here turn the corner off the screen, then take one aggressive dribble through this gap. And after this gather, Ball has the control to decelerate off his second step, giving himself an angle to finish. This is a nice counter off that same move, where Ball's first going to get to this push cross to his right, then he's going to gather and lift his head up. as if he's about to rise up into a finish on the right side of the rim, which lifts the big behind him up, allowing Melo to step across for this routine reverse layup. This finish here is tough, where Ball's going to go between and skip into this drive, and once he gets this defender's hips to open up, Ball is going to pick up and hit this long right-left Euro step. And again, LaMelo being able to use these long strides while extending the ball up to then pick up for a balanced finish, all comes back to his improved strength. When finishing around the basket, Melo also gets pretty good lift off the floor, being able to explode up and create finishing angles in the air. And this both takes a good amount of athleticism, but most importantly, patience and confidence. We'll see him here going at Karl Anthony Towns in the paint, and Ball's first going to pick up and explode off 2 feet, to then bring the ball around for this soft left-hand scoop shot. He's going to set up the same finish on this play, except Ball's now going to initiate contact on the way up, to then again work around for this lefty finish. I also don't think Ball gets enough credit for how good of an athlete he is. He's obviously not Ja Morant, but Melo still has good quick twitch explosiveness, where he's got both good verticality plus the pop to get off the floor quickly. Take this play for example. Ball's first going to slice through the defense, and while his momentum is pulling him downhill, Melo still has the control to pick up and beat the offense to the rim with this balanced vertical finish. When attacking the basket, Melo is also elite at weaponizing his pace. Because he's a non-stop passing threat with the ball, these subtle change of pace moves are really effective for him, where Ball turns the corner and lifts up his level, which slightly freezes the off-ball defense, giving Melo gaps to attack into. You'll see him here working off the screen to his right, and because Ball has the ability to snap this pass to the roll man, these two defenders are hesitant to commit over to the ball, giving Melo an angle to the basket. When playing downhill, Ball also has pretty good touch with these in-between floaters, which are looks he likes to get to when he's going up against length or a crowded paint. And Ball can create these looks off both 1 or 2 feet. Right here, he's going to turn the corner off the screen to his left, and when he feels that he's got enough space to rise up, Ball is going to simply pick up this 2-foot floater. But now on this play, he's again attacking to his left, and without stopping his momentum, Ball is going to pick up into this 1-foot runner. And what also makes these floaters super tough to guard is that Ball also has the ability to toss these lobs to his teammates. So the big underneath the basket is commonly caught in no man's land, with no right answer. If you sag back and take away the lob, it's going to be an easy floater or finish for Melo. But if you step up and meet him with the ball, that leaves the paint unprotected. And Melo can also use that floater threat to set up wide open drives to the rim. Watch him here slow down and put his eyes up, which pulls Jaylen Brown out of his stance.
LaMelo gets inside.
Now Melo also did a big chunk of his work from behind the 3, and he was a high volume 3-point shooter off the dribble. And while his percentages weren't the best, there's still no doubt that LaMelo is a talented shot maker. Mechanically, Ball's shot is pretty unorthodox, having both elbows flare out into his release. But despite that, Ball still has consistent flow into his jumper, and he's got a quick trigger pulling up going both right and left. Plus he's also comfortable shooting the ball from range.
Oh wow. Deep three.
For me, Ball's footwork and handle is what really makes him unique as an outside scorer. Off the dribble, Melo has a very light and floaty handle, where he loves to glide back and forth with the ball to then pick up into his shot if he has too much space. And Ball definitely favors pulling up and separating going to his left, because this allows him to naturally land squared up to the rim. Because Melo is a righty, he naturally lands with his right foot angled forward. So when he steps back going to his left, he can stop his backwards momentum by planting his left foot, then just settling his right foot into his pull-up. And even if LaMelo is separating with the ball in his right, he's still almost always drifting to his left. When shooting off the dribble, Melo also has some unorthodox moves to say the least, where he has no problem separating out into these 1-foot threes, which are shots most people will only use for a game of horse. And Ball will launch these threes regardless of what the time and score is. This play here is pretty wild, where it's a 2-point game in the 4th quarter, and Melo's going to initially turn his body, as if he's looking to swing the ball. But in one motion, Melo is going to pick up and launch this 1-foot moonball. But this kind of shot making has always been a double-edged sword in Melo's game, because while he's got the ability to generate and make really tough shots, his overall shot selection at times is pretty poor, where he commonly launches up deep contested threes early in the shot clock. And I don't think these type of looks are justified while Ball is shooting below 35% on all his pull-up threes. And like we went over, Ball does really good work when he's playing aggressive and looking to put pressure on the rim. But there's still too many plays where Ball bails out the defense by chucking up some pretty ridiculous shots. And in order for Melo to become a legit #1 option for a playoff team, he's going to have to cut back on some of these looks, which will most likely improve his overall 3-point percentages and lead to him playing downhill more, which I think is the strongest part of his game. Now, in transitioning over and looking at Melo's defense, I don't have anything overly negative or positive to say. I think Melo overall has the foundation to be a solid perimeter defender, where he's got the foot speed to keep the ball in front, plus the length to be a pretty disruptive defender in gap, being able to scramble out and contest shots, as well as dig down and make plays on the ball. But I also think Melo physically has some limitations as a defender, where he's got a hard time switching up and holding his ground against bigger wings and forwards. If Melo is matched up against somebody bigger, he'll normally just sell out by gambling for a steal. I also think Melo's focus on the ball can be pretty inconsistent, where he'll commonly give up clean blow-bys or pick up fouls by gambling for steals. Melo does have a bad habit of letting his man beat him off the dribble to then gamble for a steal from behind, which pretty much always leads to a foul. Now, I don't think LaMelo right now is a bad defender. I think he's for sure got the build to be a really effective defender both on and off the ball, but we've never seen him in a position where his back is against the wall in a must-win situation. I think Melo overall is a really talented player, and his game has been consistently getting better, but I still think there's a bunch of unanswered questions. First, can he consistently be available for an entire season? Second, does he have the discipline to cut back on his early pull-up threes? And finally, can he turn into a reliable defender?